What a wonderful way to start, because our topic today is all about gratitude. In fact, the exact topic is end your day with gratitude and forgiveness, which we'll get to in a moment. It's a very important practice for our times and for our country and for our county. There's a lot going on in our world, isn't there? And here is what our founder, Ernest Holmes, has to say about living on this earth in these times. Here, we may meet difficulties, uncertainties, and doubts, barriers walling our passage. But we must not be discouraged when we confront them. We must climb over the rocks of unbelief, pass around the barriers of doubt, and plunge into the stream of life with faith. That stream will ever widen, and the barriers will gradually disappear. And though we walk through the plains and valleys of indecision and doubt, that stream will still carry us back to the ocean of our being. He had a way with words. Wonderful. But the question is, how do we pass over those barriers of doubt and indecision? How do we plunge ourselves into life? Well, luckily for us, this month's recommended book gives us a strategy, a plan of action. It's May McCarthy's book, The Path to Wealth, which is about so much more than money. It's about living a full, rich, spiritual, and emotional life. And the key idea in the book that she writes about is our relationship, your relationship with something that she calls your chief spiritual officer, your CSO. And she suggests that we get quite serious about scheduling a daily meeting with the CSO and have a definite agenda. In fact, she gives us 7 easy steps for this process, and they are: read something inspirational, write a gratitude letter, speak with emotion, imagine experiencing your good, expect leads and follow direction, celebrate and note demonstration, and end your day with gratitude and forgiveness. So we better get started. The first thing on your meeting agenda is to read something inspirational. But let's get back to that serious note of keeping to your meeting and following your agenda each day. You heard Reverend Joyce DeFala give the announcements earlier this morning. Reverend Joyce and I meet once a week to go over the business of the center, the ecclesiastical matters. And I really enjoy meeting with Reverend Joyce because she understands how my brain works. So she comes to the meeting prepared. She has an agenda. She puts a list in front of me with bullet points covering what we will talk about. And even though probably Reverend Joyce's thinking process is more organic and mine is more linear, she knows that in order to keep me on point and to make the best use of both of our time, I'm the one who needs the bullet lists. So think of these as keeping your mind on task so that when you show up for your daily meeting with your CSO, you're ready. So the first thing you do in your meeting is to read something inspirational. Something that will strengthen your awareness of the creative power of life that is active and available all of the time, no matter what I'm dealing with. Oh, and that's important, isn't it? Especially during these times that we're facing. There's so much going on, so many events that might have the ability to cause us to lose that connection. Maybe even forget that there is a universal power constantly active, even though I'm busy dealing with the things that are going on in my life. I'm remembering a trip I made to the Grand Canyon I was very young at the time. You know, you don't just show up at the Grand Canyon. You have to plan in advance. You have to make an appointment if you want to go down to the bottom of the Grand Canyon. Well, I made no such appointment. I showed up with a friend of mine, and we got there to the place where you get your permission to go down into the canyon, and it had started to hail. And so people were canceling their journeys down, and we said, we'll go. And so down we climbed to the bottom of the Grand Canyon in a hailstorm. And you know, it takes a little bit of navigating, walking downhill so far. You use different muscles, so by the time we got down there, we were unprepared for how tired we would be and wet. So I remember sitting there exhausted, looking at the Colorado River. Now, I don't know if you've ever seen that, but such power and such might and just going and going and going. And it had been going all the time while I was worrying about getting into the Grand Canyon, all the time while I was walking through the hail, all the time that I got down there, and it continued to carry on doing its thing even now while I'm standing in front of you talking to you. And it reminded me of that constant activity of the power of life itself, going about its business even when I'm frustrated, even when I'm distracted. And that is the purpose of the inspirational readings, to help get me back to the awareness that there is a power for good in the universe still working, still doing its thing. So what are your options for inspirational readings? You can go to Stepping Stones bookstore and ask for some suggestions, or upstairs to our Ernest Holmes Lending Library, which is a free resource, and there you will find such things as 365, a real favorite. It's Science of Mind readings, one for every day of the year, one pager, really accessible. Or the Science of Mind magazine. And now those of you who already have subscriptions will know that in the center of every edition is a month's worth of daily affirmations and readings. And if you don't care to take a subscription, you can pick up an old, already used Science of Mind magazine, because the daily readings are just as good month to month. And the book that May McCarthy recommends in hers is this one by Florence Scovel Shinn, The Game of Life and How to Play It, with short, uplifting, inspiring readings. So that's where you go. The second item on your daily agenda is to write a gratitude letter. Now you can think of this as your statement of appreciation. Now, the TV anchor Deborah Norville said, "What I have learned is there's a scientifically proven phenomenon that is attached to gratitude. And that if you consciously take note of what is good in your life, quantifiable benefits happen." Now, that is what the letter writing is all about. Consciously noting the good. And the difference between writing a letter down and just thinking about it is substantial, because in writing it, there's more intentionality. There's more of a commitment. And not only that, it slows us down. And she suggests that we write it in a formal way, even address it to the CSO. Dear CSO, I am grateful for. Do you know that this is a great family or group activity for Thanksgiving Day? Give everybody a sheet of paper and ask them to write a letter. They can address it to life if you like, so that you don't have to explain who the CSO is. And then read it to each other before you eat. Oh, you are going to like that. One of the great spiritual teachers about having a prosperous relationship to the spiritual world, Eric Butterworth, said, it's very important that when we write gratitude letters and we do gratitude practices, that we be sure that we focus and stay focused on gratitude and not on what is missing. He said, some persons realizing the importance of the grateful heart, begin looking for things for which to give thanks. However, they mistakenly start with the perspective of inadequacy and insufficiency, and thus they simply become more conscious of limitations. So if you start looking for what is not present, he goes on to say that you and I don't need something to be grateful for in order to experience gratitude. That what we need is the desire to feel grateful, and then to practice feeling that feeling. So it gives us some key points for our letter writing activity. Number one, write a list of things that you're grateful for right now, that you appreciate right now. Nothing wrong with that. And then, second step, write a list of things you would like to be grateful for in your life as if they are already present. I'm grateful for my new home. I'm grateful for loving relationships in my life. I'm grateful for meaningful connections in the workplace. I'm grateful for the seemingly infinite flow of creative ideas that come through my mind. I'm grateful for my ability to help other people. And then the last part of the letter is where you express appreciation for the Colorado River. Right? The universal power of life that continues to flow, whether you're thinking about that or this or anything. Then, the next step, speak with emotion. Oh, this part of the daily agenda is both important and enjoyable because this is where the feelings come in. This is where you get to take your letter that you've written and read it out loud with feeling, with emotion, to reinforce the feeling connection between you and your gratitude practice. So when you're reading your letter out loud, you can check in with yourself. Did I use words that resonate with me? Does it make me feel energized, uplifted? And if the answer is no, then you can go back and rewrite the letter until it feels right and good. Then the next step is to imagine experiencing your good. Now, you may remember the last time I spoke here, just after the fires, we started the service with a visualization practice for Sonoma County. We used our beautiful imaginations to see in our mind's eye a Sonoma County that is rebuilt beyond its former splendor. That is exactly what this step is all about, that we see ourselves, you see yourself in your mind's eye experiencing the good you have in mind. And you can ask yourself, if this good that I have in mind were already here, how would I be feeling? What would I be doing? What would I be experiencing? And how would I be connecting with others? And you've got to have a playful, innocent, light-hearted approach to it, because this is how we create the blueprint in our mind. And the author, May McCarty, suggests that we sit calmly and silently and imagine what it would be like to experience the good that we desire. In fact, she says we are to picture every detail that we can. Not because we're trying to get all uptight about it or control the outcome. No, just because imagination is joyful and wonderful and exciting. After all, the good that we imagine might come in a way we didn't expect, even better than what we thought of. So it's no point in getting attached to a particular detail. And at the same time, it's worth saying that being specific is important too. Jennifer Ruth Russell, the singer-songwriter, wrote this: I have been on a journey of coming out of vagueness. When it comes to money and our relationships, vagueness keeps us from the truth. Even in the seemingly small stuff of life, vagueness keeps us from checking in with what we want and how we are really feeling about a situation. Now, when I read that, it made an impact on me. And it's not only about money and relationships, it's about everything in life. Am I being vague? Or am I getting really clear with myself about what it is I want? And if I don't know what it is that I want, how am I going to recognize the prompts and hints from life when they show up? How am I going to know to take a step in that direction? How will I recognize it when I get it? Now, these first 4 steps are your chief spiritual officer meeting for the day. The next step involves you getting on with your day. Now you get busy with your day, but something's different now. Something's changed. Now you're filled up with expectations. You're looking for leads. You're on high alert for direction. You've tuned into your intuition now, and you're expecting it to provide you with direction. You're watching for actions, decisions that you could make that won't make you feel uncomfortable and won't put you at risk. You're alert to life. Along with it, and the next step, is to celebrate every demonstration of good that comes along during the day. Oprah Winfrey said that the more you praise and celebrate life, the more there is in life to celebrate and praise. So celebration is a form of acknowledgement, and when we acknowledge something with gratitude, it adds value to that something. That's what appreciation means, to raise the value of something. I remember studying a relationship coach, and she talked about the power of appreciation and how easy it is to use in developing good relationships with your partner. And she used the example of one day she noticed her husband in the kitchen, and he was wearing a rather attractive pair of shorts. And she appreciated them and said, "Those are lovely shorts." And then she noticed that since that moment, he wore them more and more frequently. You see, and she commented that because she had raised the value, so had he. And that is the amazing multiplying power of appreciation. And you can do your appreciation on the go as you travel through life in your mind. But if you want to get really serious about it, get a little notebook, carry it around in your pocket, and every time something good happens or good comes your way, if somebody does something nice, say thank you. And when they're not looking, jot it down. Make a note. You know, it's important to keep the gratitude alive. Because as things get better, it's easy to slip into taking it for granted. It's easy to slip into sitting around and waiting. And my experience is that without the conscious recognition, it's possible to get stuck in a plateau of comfort and not take further action. In the book, May McCarthy recommends that we work with a friend or a family member, someone you can talk to about your gratitude. You might even say to them, "Look, I'd like to be able to tell you right away when something good happens." And today you could do that by text message with somebody you agree with, or by email, or you could even make an online group for a small group of friends to celebrate good when it happens in real time. And then the final step is to end your day with gratitude and forgiveness. Yeah, this is a beautiful way to wrap up your day's practice. And for this, you're going to need some alone time to sit and think back through the day and give thanks for everything that happened. And then the forgiveness practice, to release everyone and everything from everything and everything. May McCarthy offers this suggested forgiveness meditation. Chief Spiritual Officer, if there is anyone from my past or present that I need to forgive, whether I remember them or not, I now do so. I bless them, I love them, I forgive them, and I release them into your care, knowing that you will work with them in whatever way is best. And if there is anyone from my past or present who needs to forgive me, including myself, they now do so. And we are all free to experience a higher and greater good in our lives. Now, she goes on to say that you and I don't even have to feel that the words are true. And we don't even need to want to forgive everyone at this particular point. She suggests, and I agree with her, that we just say the words with as much sincerity as we can muster in the moment and include everyone. Now let's look at that. Why is forgiveness important when it comes to an abundant life? Because unforgiveness connects us to events in the past that are draining our energy that could be better used in current time, being the creative, expressive, amazing person that you are born to be. And why don't you need to feel that the words are true just yet? Because when you show to yourself that you are willing to do the work, as difficult as it may be, something shifts in you. It's like I'm saying to myself, or you're saying to yourself, yeah, I am willing to be free and to be available to the stream of life, as difficult as this is, and something shifts. It's about freedom. You know, one of my colleagues, Jane Westerkamp, she was talking about religious funeral ceremonies. Many traditional ones end with the word Godspeed. And she said, and I'd never thought about this, she said, it sounds like the minister is wishing the deceased a quick journey to the other world, you know. However, the word Godspeed originated in Middle English and is taken from a 3-word phrase, God speed you. Speed spelt S-P-E-I-D, and it means prosper. It was a wish for the soul to have a spiritually abundant journey. May God prosper you. And that is the idea behind this whole program, to want everyone and every being to be free to have a spiritually abundant life. That is the heart of our global vision statement for our movement, that we see in our beautiful imaginations a world that works for everyone. So it brings me back to the Ernest Holmes quote that we started with. He says, here on this earth, we may meet difficulties, uncertainties, and doubts that make a barrier between us and our passage. But we must not be discouraged when so confronted. We must climb over the rocks of unbelief and pass around the barriers of doubt and plunge ourselves into the stream of life. Now the stream will ever widen and the barriers will gradually disappear. And though we walk through the plains and valleys of indecision and doubt, this stream will carry us back to the ocean of our being. Oh, he had a way with words. I invite you now to breathe in and exhale, letting your eyes close as we take a moment in prayer. And even though I speak in the first person, it is available for anyone to identify with these words. I recognize one chief spiritual officer, the living Spirit Almighty, everywhere present, eternal, immortal, and all-powerful, and ever active. I recognize it so that I may remember my identity with it, that I exist inside of the energy and creation of the thing itself, God the living Spirit. From this place of holy union, I declare that I am open and available to experience myself as free and available to the greatest expression of life. I am available to see all beings and all people free and available to their highest expression. And so I step gently but resolutely towards blessing and releasing everyone and everything, including myself. Immediately, I feel a sense of relief and a rush of gratitude. I enjoy that feeling. And I release this word of prayer into that aspect of creation that we call the law, to remind myself that all of this comes to pass not by any effort on my part, but through the power of the Holy Spirit, which is listening and responding and carrying out its sacred action all the time. And together we say, and so it is.